To some people, my question will be, does change means doing something differently in a democratic structure? Does change means changing from one form of government to another form of government? Does change connote replacement and displacement reaction in the course of election? Because in chemistry we said elements that are higher in the electrochemical series must always displace those lower in the electrochemical series. So given parties that are higher in the number of people will always displace those parties that have less number of people. Is that the change we're talking about? And my idea is that you could change a government without changing the living standard of the people. That is not change. You can change a minister and change a service chief without actually changing the system. That is not the change I think you want me to talk about. You are talking about change that really reflects positively on the life of the ordinary man. But let me say to you that change has come and change is here with us. But let me reserve it. I'll bring it again later in the course of this lecture. But let me again define the word democracy. Democracy is that form of government where the supremacy of the people will always reign. In other words, government of the people, by the people, and for the people. But democracy came like a wild wind from America, traversing all over the world. Some places creating havoc, and some places creating development. A nation that understands the essence of democracy have developed with it. A nation that do not understand have become down in the course of democracy. That again is a serious matter for debate. How have we fared in democracy in Nigeria? What has democracy produced for us? Let me say to you, shockingly enough and surprisingly, democracy in Nigeria has produced for us only political leaders without state leaders. Democracy has produced for us politicians who think about the next election constantly and not state leaders who will think about the next generation. So the challenge we have today is that in the course of democracy in Nigeria, once you get elected into office, your next action plan is how to win the next election, and not necessarily how to put food on the table of the common man. This is the type of change we need to address. Because people say you could change. Thank God people are not changing their wives and not changing their husband. Because change in a democracy is quite a different story. Let me say something here before I go on. Do you know if you take a bottle of Coke and pour out the Coke inside the bottle of Fanta, and you drink that bottle of Fanta, you're not drinking Fanta, you're drinking Coke. So changing the container does not amount to change, but changing the content. I also buttress this point in relation to democracy. So back again, we are looking for leaders in a democracy and not managers in a democracy. And thank God that President Muhammad Buhari, today, the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, has the characteristics, the attribute, the personality that signifies change. And I want to tell all Nigerians that we are now in the right place. So democracy for me, and for those of us who agree with us, is that democracy in Nigeria has not been well practiced. Maybe this is the first time the masses of Nigeria desiring change could come out in a mass to vote a leader of their choice. Before, police, former IG, with due respect, INEC, army, determine who occupies a political position in Nigeria and those who control the means of production, cash. That is not democracy. That is democracy. The experience we had in the last election, where you can see people literally with gun carrying boxes with uniform, is rather less than what democracy has asked us to do in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So that change in democratic structure must come. And I want to commend President Buhari for the changes that is going on. And I'm told that the committee has been set up to review the elections that just took place and the role of the military and police and INEC in that matter. That might be the way to start. So if there's action taken now, and this action taken as a deterrent, next time when you call an army man or police or INEC to do the wrong thing, he will tell you Buhari is by the side. Because the fear of Buhari is the beginning of political wisdom. So I'm going to be talking about democracy much later, but let me go to the issue of Nigeria. Let me define Nigeria. There's no definition of Nigeria in dictionary. And I don't know who can define Nigeria, but let me make an attempt. Nigeria is this sleeping giant of Africa with a population of more than 180 million people, theoretically, because we do not even know our population. We assume. With arable land, with energetic youths, diversified in blessings, sweet crude, tantalite, gold, silver, that had every blessings of God, but yet is considered as one of the underdeveloped nations of the world. A nation that got its independence 55 years ago, 1960. By the way, Nigeria is not 55 years old. Nigeria is 100 years old. Because people they use Nigeria's independence to tell me about Nigeria's age. Nigeria can't be 55. Because during 1914, the days of amalgamation, Nigeria was existing before amalgamation. But let's talk the time we came together. It's 100 years now. And 100 years later, Nigeria is still having a lecture on how to move Nigeria forward. We're still sitting here discussing what to do for a change to come so there will be future for our country. I think it calls for sober reflection. And that's why I will tell you the truth today. If you want to seize my bicycle, go ahead, it's outside. So Nigeria is 100 years of age, for crying out loud. Who got their independence on the platter of gold without struggling for it. And that's the beginning of the apparent laziness in the Nigerian nation. We want everything easy coming, cheap coming, easy money, easy life. Most nations that got their independence on a platter of gold are no do-well nation. Those who struggled and spilled blood for it are today better off for it. And the worst part, it was Lord Lugard, even his wife, who gave us this name, Niger area. It was the wife that gave us Niger area. And we had a very wonderful anthem. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Many have argued, should you not have stayed with the British up to this time? Some have argued, why didn't they take power from the colonial masters without understanding direction? And since then, we have had governments upon government. Military has come in with the view to correct the past. Different presidents have come, different heads of states have come to this country. All working towards making Nigeria great. And my question this morning, would you then say that this head of states and presidents that came with the intention to fail? Definitely not. No military president that came with the intention to fail. No civilian president came with the intention to destroy this country. But there's a missing link. The missing link is leadership and vision contained in the medulla oblongata of that leader. Because there's nothing wrong with the head of state, but there can be something wrong with the state of the head. Leadership is everything. And that's why we've been crying for a change for the right leader.